It's time now for Back Pages tonight here on Sky Sports News, bringing you a first look at the sports stories in the morning's newspapers. And joining us are Riyadh Al-Samarrai from the Daily Mail and Mark Donaldson from ESPN. Welcome to you both. Now, normally we would cycle through the back pages. We're just going to jump straight into it on a busy night of football. And we're going to start at the top of the Premier League. Arsenal, their win over Brentford. There is a feeling when you watch Arsenal, it's almost of inevitability, Riyadh. Am I jumping too early with that comment?
We're seeing it all season. I mean, this is another one where it was a pretty tough game, and we've certainly last season it would be the game I'd expect them to lose. And there's probably been 3 or 4 occasions this season where I've had the same thought. But they do have that extra resilience to them. They are finding a way. I thought Brentford put up a very good fight this evening, and that was the challenge Arsenal had to come through. Look, they're 5 points clear, unbeaten in 18, 8 clean sheets, and they've somehow discovered the best striker in world football that we never knew existed in Marino. Look, it's coming together. It was a challenging night. I think we've spoken a lot on this show and elsewhere about the depth of Arsenal's squad. We're really seeing it coming to the fore now. I think this was the 4th game in 10 days or something slightly daft like that. They have had a lot of problems with injuries this season, and previously you would expect that to knock them off track, and it hasn't so far. I'm sure we'll talk more about Declan Rice shortly. If you were to try and put a slightly sour point on the night, him coming off of a calf injury is going to be a big concern. He's a massive player for them. We've seen that game in, game out at the moment. And Mosquera as well also came off with an injury, so they do actually have a slight defensive issue there. But currently, we're really scratching around for reasons to add disclaimers to this side. So far they've looked not only the best side in the Premier League this season, they've looked like the best side in Europe, and it's coming from a variety of different styles. They can carve through teams with good attacking football. They've got an incredible defensive record, and we know what they do with set pieces. It's very hard to look at their Arsenal and if you pardon the pun, and see where they're actually lacking at the moment.
Yeah, scratching around for weaknesses. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. But Mark, I'm interested in this because Mosquera was injured tonight. Only a couple of weeks ago, experts were saying the weakness might come is if there was an injury to Gabriel. There has been. He wasn't playing tonight. And then maybe if there was an injury to Declan Rice. And the danger is that both of them now look like they might be injured.
They've changed 3 of their back 4 from the normal one this season if everybody is fit. Gabriel alongside Saliba, Timber at right back, yet they've still kept a clean sheet. So right now we are looking for reasons why they can't rather than reasons why they can. I've commentated a lot on Mosquera when he was at Valencia in La Liga. Nkapie is a superstar as well, coming on loan from Bayer Leverkusen. This is the difference for me from an Arsenal perspective than the one from a few years ago, because now you have really, really good players coming in. Not quite as good as the ones that they're replacing, but good enough to keep a clean sheet, to get all 3 points. You only need to score once when you keep a clean sheet. Arsenal managed to score 2 tonight. And that's why on the back of the Daily Express, you've got guns for hire as Marino and Saka lead the way.
Yeah, and there is no one higher than Arsenal. Rivals around them dropping points. Liverpool are completely out of the equation. But also, you look at the strength in depth, and while Declan Rice and Gabriel may well not be replaceable for what they offer to Arsenal, today on the bench, Riyadh, Jurriën Timber, Eberechi Eze, Bukayo Saka, Victor Gyökeres, all of them able to come on as second-half substitutes.
Absolutely. And I think there are probably 2 things. I think Arsenal, and this is being a little bit dour about it, I think they do possibly have to have some kind of mild review internally about the volume of muscle injuries, because there's only going to be so many times, even with that squad, that they can rotate themselves out of a difficulty. But they at the moment we are seeing a squad that is unparalleled across the division. I think I'd want to make the point tonight as well about Ben White. He's one of those guys who's been brought in so that they could sort of give Timber a little bit of a rest. I thought he was probably the best player on the pitch, and he was central to that first goal as well. He's obviously a different kind of player to Timber. I think Sam Dean was making the point on social media earlier this evening that also when he plays, he gives Arsenal that slightly different dynamic. He's probably a more natural overlapping right back, and I think that's another possibly underrated aspect of what Arteta's got going for him this season. He can introduce not only high quality players, but entirely different styles of football to go with it. And you know, these results are piling up. I think I made the point in the first answer. This was easily the kind of game that could have got away from Arsenal last season, and probably would have got away from Arsenal last season. But they are able to adapt to that fatigue that we have in December. You know, so they haven't lost a game since August. Whether or not they keep it going, we'll have to wait and see. I think it's a massive game now this weekend against Aston Villa. They're coming up like a steam train. You know, Emery's done a fantastic job there. If you think about what bordered on chaos over the summer, really, around recruitment and whether or not guys like Emi Martinez were going to go, and now they're on a run of 8 wins in 9. That's going to be the huge test for Arsenal. But you know, they all are at this point. Man City are nowhere close to their best, but they're still only 5 points back, and they've got all of that nous about how to get over the line. I wouldn't want to try and quantify what that expertise and experience is worth, but it is going to be worth something, especially when Arsenal are trying to get over this line after whatever it is, 5-6 years of us consistently banging on about their mentality. So that is going to weigh on them at some point. But so far, every hurdle that appears in their path, they're clearing.
Yep, they're clearing, and some of their rivals are not clearing those hurdles. Chelsea were their closest rivals at the weekend. They drew 1-1 in a brilliant game. Chelsea had 10 players, but then this evening, Chelsea beaten 3-1 at Leeds to all of a sudden take a tumble back in the title race, Mark.
Massive result for Leeds. I know you mentioned Chelsea, but it's the inconsistency, and it's the inconsistency that maybe Arsenal had a few years ago. And Mikel Arteta has never finished lower than he did the previous year with Arsenal. Now he's kind of plateaued at second, but he's learning to pick up results when they're not playing well. Riyadh's just spoken about this is a game tonight that in the past they may have struggled with to get all 3 points. They may have played well but not found a way. But from a Chelsea perspective, played really well against Arsenal. However, you've got these... I mean, it's a bit like Liverpool right now. It's a team that should be beating sides like Leeds United because they've got better players. But this stage of the season, December time, midweek night, Leeds up for a battle. You've got to be as well if you're Chelsea. That's a massive result for Leeds to get them further away from the foot of the table. But from Chelsea, right now, it's like 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. They need to find that consistency.
Yeah, they certainly do need to find that consistency. Riyadh, what's your hunch when we look at the table? We're more than a third of the way through the season now. Arsenal have this 5-point lead. Where is the main challenge going to come from?
Manchester City. It's always going to be Manchester City. Their C game is still good enough for top 3 or top 4. Their B game is good enough for second. It's just a case, and I'm reticent to bring it up just on the basis that it has been a very prolonged period now, going all the way back to the Rodri injury last season, since we've seen a Manchester City that we can trust. Now, watching them last night was probably a case in point where, you know, they go and take a very comfortable situation and turn it into a minor drama. Now, they are still Manchester City. They've still got Erling Haaland up front. They've still got incredible quality across the side, and they've got arguably the finest manager that's ever lived in charge of them. So I think 5 points can disappear in a blink, especially given that we know Manchester City have still got 2 gears left to explore this season. Whether or not they do it, I don't know. I've increasingly come around to the view that Arsenal will get it done. But look, we're talking in the first week of December here, so it's nigh on pointless to speculate. But I look at that Manchester City team and what they've got in that squad, and they have to be the logical challenger. Liverpool are going absolutely nowhere. Chelsea, I think tonight. They've been on excellent form. I've never really known quite what to make of Maresca's side there. It is young. It is therefore inconsistent, as Mark was saying. It's a team that can turn around and bash seven shades out of Barcelona and then go and lose to Leeds, who are coming in on a 4-game losing run. And people were talking this morning about Daniel Farke losing his job. So, are Chelsea going to be the challengers? Is it Aston Villa? Their squad doesn't, irrespective of the brilliant form they're in, their squad doesn't look like a title contending squad, with the greatest of respect, because I do think Emery's doing a fantastic job. So it is, for me, it's Arsenal, Manchester City. I just would love to be able to quantify exactly what that title winning experience is worth to Man City on the run in, but we're probably 3 or 4 months away from having that conversation in any sort of serious context.
Yeah, if we shift our focus to the other end of the table, it's a big defeat for Chelsea, but it's a huge win, as you mentioned, for Leeds United. But more specifically, Mark, for their manager Daniel Farke, there have been a lot of noise around him. They've got this horrible run of games, and they're into that run of games with a huge victory.
There's such a gap between the top end of the Championship and the lower end of the Premier League. We've seen that the past 2 seasons. The 3 that go up come back down. So why isn't there more patience for the managers who come up with the sides from the Championship? Leeds came up. Yet Daniel Farke, there was talk even before a ball had been kicked. Is he the man to even lead Leeds in the Premier League? Does he have that experience? Should we replace him? And yeah, he's had some results of late. They came very close to an excellent win the other day, yet they now have a good win over Chelsea. So what are we doing? We're just parking that speculation about his future until they go on another bad run. There has to be a little bit more patience. He got the team up. Surely he should be rewarded because, yeah, fine, get rid of a manager if you've got someone better to come in. But he knows the players. He knows what makes them stick. And I tell you what, he got a good tune out of that fiddle tonight against Chelsea.
He certainly did. Very, very good win for Leeds United. And at the moment, they're sitting 3 points above the relegation zone with West Ham yet to play in this midweek game week. Now, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll have a lot more of the look at the sports stories in the morning's papers. We'll reflect on the rest of a busy old night in the Premier League. And we'll be talking about Wilfried Nancy, confirmed as the new Celtic head coach. It's all coming up. You're watching Back Pages tonight. Welcome back to Riath Al Samurai of the Daily Mail and Mark Donaldson from ESPN. Welcome back to you both. Want to focus on the Telegraph front cover of their sports supplement, the balmy Arna, and the big celebration from Arne Slot after Liverpool rescue a late draw against Sunderland. Big celebrations for a draw against the team that were promoted last season, Mark.
Has that saved his job? Is that why he was celebrating so profusely? Mohamed Salah, who was key to Liverpool's title success last year, you think with the team selection tonight, OK, was it just resting at the weekend? No, it wasn't. He was clearly dropped. Then he comes on for Cody Gakpo, and Florian Wirtz gets the goal that gives Liverpool a point. So that's why the celebration took place when it did. I think it was, 9 minutes to go. Liverpool get the equaliser. We're talking about the defending champions against a promoted side and a reaction from a manager. For me, that says he was pretty sure. I don't know what was said behind closed doors. Riath and yourself might be able to have one or two more pieces of information than I do right now. But was it a case that he was told if you don't beat Sunderland, you lose your job? Was that the reason for the celebrations? Only Arne Slot can tell us.
Yeah, I don't think he will tell us. I don't have any more information to add on that one. On Mo Salah, Riath, what did you make of the fact that when he came out, when the camera panned to him right at the start of the game, he covered his face up and was almost hiding? What's he doing?
Yeah, he was wearing all those kind of balaclavas. I saw someone suggesting that he looked like a driver who'd just come out of qualifying in the F1. Look, Slot's a brave man. I think given everything that's resting on this, I don't think his job's in imminent danger. But this has been a huge crisis at Liverpool. They've long past the point of it being a drama, and to drop Mo Salah 2 games in a row, and if they'd lost tonight, that would have been there would have been major questions about it. What I would say is I thought they looked a lot better when Salah came on, and to qualify that, they looked better from a pretty abject first half. 1-1 at home to Sunderland. I think it's a sign of how far they've fallen that there would be any celebration about a result like that. I think they're in a absolutely horrendous mess at the moment. Watching that game tonight, there was no width in the team in that first half, which again might be traced to not having Salah out there kind of cutting in and sort of also hugging the touchline, making the pitch wider. I thought they looked anxious. I thought they looked scared. They're still losing too many duels. You don't expect mistakes like the one from Van Dijk that gave away the goal for 1-0. And let's not forget, even at 1-1, they very nearly went on to lose the game again from there. So, but look, they came back. We haven't seen them do that this season in a match. Maybe we're talking about baby steps towards stabilising, but at the moment there just seems to be a huge amount wrong. It was another night where Isak offered very, very little. We were watching after the West Ham game, waiting to see whether or not that would be a little bit of a jolt to him, and that hasn't happened. I thought Wirtz was given another start in that kind of number 10 position that he prefers. I think, he obviously had his moment with his involvement in the goal. I think he actually shanked the finish, which was why it was an own goal, but the little side step to tee up the shot was lovely. We can see there's a great player in there, but he's still at 50% of his truer capacity, I would say. So we're still waiting to see a lot more in his direction. But there's so much wrong with Liverpool at the moment, and we know that they've got the quality to turn it around. But I think Slot needs to come up with a new idea. He's got to have a fiddle with that system. I don't necessarily believe that dropping the best Liverpool player for the past decade is really an answer to that. But then again, he's got to think of a solution, because AFCON's around the corner, and he's going to be losing Salah for several weeks. Maybe that's what he's doing, but it's a bit of a high wire act at the moment. I don't think he's necessarily the kind of player you really want to have upset in the dressing room either. So they've got a lot to solve, and a 1-1 draw with Sunderland doesn't get them any closer to that answer.
No, I don't think it does. Mark, I want to draw your attention to main story in the Metro. Antisocial Ruben Amorim. He says his survival instinct is to avoid the screen test. He's not looking at social media. He's not watching TV when we discuss Manchester United and their fallibilities and frailties. Now, this follows an investigation by the BBC, showed over 2,000 extremely abusive messages aimed at professional footballers, men and women, across a single weekend last month. It's a real concern in the game at the moment, abuse that players are suffering.
It is. I live over here in the United States. We've got the same issue with NFL players, and it's to do with the increase in betting opportunities for so many different things in games. And it's not just in NFL games. It can happen in the English Premier League and all football as well, where you're betting a number of corners or whatever. If someone misses a chance or a shot on goal, you can bet on that. And there's a lot of abuse that NFL players and other sportsmen and women are getting over here that's on the rise and is more and more of a concern. And it's not just over here. And whether it's Ruben Amorim or players that should score and don't, social media is a poisonous place at the best of time, and this isn't helping things at all. So I don't blame Ruben Amorim. It's difficult, though, if you're a youngster who's used to social media and you're coming through the ranks and suddenly you end up being a superstar. I mean, I was commentating on Bayern Munich earlier today, and not just Harry Kane, but they've got a whole host of 16 and 17-year-old teenagers, including Leonard Carl. What happens if he misses a penalty? How's he going to deal with abuse? He's used to social media. He's 16 years old. Do you suddenly say, switch it off, don't go on there? And I think that's what Ruben Amorim is trying to do. It's not as easy as that, though.
No, it's not. And actually, Riyadh, the one thing with social media is it's great. It gives us access to these sports stars that we want to be closer to. But then the flip side of that is people that have access to them have the ability to abuse them.
Absolutely. Look, I think one thing to emphasise here, it's not just a sports issue, it's a societal issue. We know social media can be a toxic place. I mean, there are people out there who are given to commenting on the ever-changing position of my hairline, for instance. They can be incredibly rude about it.
That's why I'm wearing a hat.
You know, I'm also aware that people get far more serious comments than that. As for Amorim and people in professional sports, I'd be amazed why any of them why any of them use it. It's why a lot of them need to maintain these accounts. It's good for brands. It is good for being able to have direct access to a lot of your followers, but they do, for a good reason, have people managing the accounts for them for the day-to-day stuff, so they don't have to accept that sort of sludge into their life on a daily basis. It's quite understandable.
Riyadh, your hairline looks fine by me, but I think both you and I could invest in one of these hats that Mark is wearing right there. Mark, let's end the programme talking about Scotland. It's a twin-prong question, this. Celtic have appointed their new manager. Wilfried Nancy is in, and he will be delighted to have a look at the league table after Hearts drop more points. That's one close to your hearts.
Yeah. As a Hearts supporter, it wasn't great to concede late on against Kilmarnock. This is an interesting one because I would probably have preferred Wilfried Nancy to come in as a Hearts fan than Martin O'Neill, who's done such a great job and won all his games, a 1-0 win over Dundee early this evening. But I totally get disappointment from Celtic. Obviously living over here in the States, watching Wilfried Nancy's Columbus Crew at close quarters. That is not easy to say. They won the MLS Cup in 2023 in his first season. They've done well. They were beaten in the first round of the MLS Cup playoffs this year by Cincinnati. But let's look at what he is and what he does. He's a very progressive manager, a very progressive head coach, likes his teams to play out quickly from the back. So whether or not Kasper Schmeichel going forward would be the answer there, because he wants a goalkeeper that plays the ball quickly, centre-backs that use it, full-backs and wing-backs that bomb forward. I have to say, though, that the statement welcoming Wilfried Nancy to Celtic Park from the chief shareholder, Dermot Desmond, was a lot warmer than the one that Brendan Rodgers received on his exit a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Mark, we don't have very little time. Just give me a score prediction, Celtic Hearts this weekend.
Oh, that's nasty. 2-1 2-2. Sit on the fence. I think we'll
2-2,
lose,
there you go.
but I'm
That's
optimistic.
the hearts and the heads converging. Mark, Riyadh, thank you. Great to spend the time with you. If you missed any of the show, there's another chance to see Back Pages tonight at 1:30. The show's also available as a podcast. Just download Back Pages, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get them. And join us again Thursday night. Our guests will be Miguel Delaney from The Independent and Jonathan Liu. And after the break, we'll be focusing on Arsenal 5 points clear.